Hello. My cosmos are dying, or at least 2 so far of the 3 that I have in this back border, which makes me so sad because they, 1, are a large part of the back border, and 2, I just love them so much. And they've been doing so well, which I said out loud, and Mother Nature must have heard that and said, you know what, maybe I'll just kill them instead. Now, I figured I would take this time to go over how I diagnose plant issues in the garden, and then I'll show you what I do to the border since I'm removing a very large plant in the border. There's going to be a hole that needs to be filled. I have a few different things that I'm thinking about, so I'll kind of take you along in that process as well. But first, let's start with what's been happening to my cosmos. So I came outside a couple days ago, and this plant behind me, which is almost dead, looked like this. This is actually from the second plant that's dying. But basically, all of the leaves were drooping. They were still green, and then the flowers themselves, they weren't getting to their full size. They were staying very small and also starting to wither. Now, when I see leaves drooping, my first instinct is always it needs more water, but droopy leaves can also be a sign of too much water. So the very first thing I did was go over and check the soil with my fingers. It was not too dry, and it was not soggy. So I didn't think it was going to be an issue with either under or overwatering. Now, it was hot that day. We are in the 90s and humid, although today it's a little bit better. So I did give it a little bit more water, specifically that cosmos. Since I knew we weren't at risk of overwatering, I gave it a little bit more water. Nothing changed. It just kept getting worse. I also did check for pests. If I think the watering is fine, I'll go ahead and look through the leaves themselves, go all the way down, and I just didn't see any specific signs of any pests on it. I mean, there are some bumps here that I was like, what is this? But that's just roots that are kind of growing out of the side. So I didn't see any pest issues. And then after that, my next stop is probably some sort of disease. Now, if it is watering issue or a pest issue, usually I can fix that and the plant can stay in my garden. With most disease issues, eventually they have to go, especially with powdery mildew on my zinnias. Once it's there, I try to control it, but it eventually takes out the whole plant. So I was doing some Google research. I was putting in the symptoms. I still can't narrow it down to a specific disease. I was getting results that really focused on either some sort of fungal wilt or bacterial blight. I don't know which one it is, but either way, it's going to have to be gone from the garden. Now, the third one doesn't have it yet, but I'm keeping a very close eye on it. I have a fungicide spray that I'll show you in just a bit that I've used. So these are part of the second plant, are going to go directly into a garbage can. If I'm pulling anything from the garden that I think there's a chance has some sort of disease, it's not going to my compost. I'm not laying it down in the bed as mulch. It is getting put in a garbage bag and taken away from my garden. So now I will take you up close so you can see the dying cosmos. First off, let me give you an overview of what the border currently looks like. So there was one cosmos here and another cosmos there. There's still parts of each cosmos that I'm going to pull. This one in the center is still looking good, so I'm keeping all my fingers and toes crossed that it is fine, but I do at least appreciate that whatever disease it is kept the symmetry in my garden for now, because if it had only killed one, then I'd have 2 cosmos here. If it killed the center one and a side one, I'd have one over here. But luckily, you know, it was nice enough to keep my garden still symmetrical. So now let me take you up close to the 2 diseased ones. All right, sad looking cosmos number 1. Like I said, I touched the soil with my fingers. I tried giving it some extra water in case it was the heat. I even let it stay a few extra days when it cooled down a bit to see if that helped, but no, it did not. So this is what it looks like right now. I'm gonna pull this whole plant, but something else I noticed, let me see if I can show you, maybe on this stem. So when I normally harvest a flower off the cosmos, the stem below it stays green. When I would cut a cosmos off, because I thought maybe if I just deadhead it, it'll revive itself, the stem below it turned brown. Again, that's not typical. Usually it stays green on a healthy cosmos, but this is also what would happen to my blueberries when they got blight. So that's how I was thinking maybe it was blight, I'm not sure, but I would cut off the infected part of a blueberry and then the stem below where I cut off would turn brown and start to die back. So this is cosmos number 1. And over here is cosmos number 2. So this is where all those branches that I had at the beginning are from. But you can see there are still some branches in here. So one of the things I was reading said just cut off the infected branches and leave the ones that still look good and see if something happens. So that's what I'm gonna do for now and hope that the rest of it survives. I don't have very high hopes that's what's going to happen, but there is still a fairly tall branch here. There's one over here and then one over here. And those were all on different branches. All of the infected pieces were from the same branch. All right, you're now close on the main stem of the cosmos that I took some of the stems off, but have left some. Now, from what I was reading, again, I think this is most likely, I think it was called fusarium wilt or a fungal wilt. So let me know if by seeing this stem, you can identify exactly what it is. But I don't know, since I'm still seeing it, like I've cut back all the parts that were wilting, but I'm still seeing it in there. So I don't really know what I'm gonna do next, but I guess I will let this sit for now while I go pull the other one, because I know that one's coming out completely. So a few things that I want to mention before I start removing that cosmos is that, one, I'm using these pruners and then I'm immediately going to wash them. I don't want to be cutting stems with some sort of disease and then using these same pruners on a currently healthy plant and spread that disease. So I will be washing these immediately. Also, when I'm working with diseased plants, even though sometimes I can have issues with rash and irritation, I do prefer using just my bare hands because that's much easier to wash off than if I had gloves on. So bare hands, pruners that I'm going to wash both immediately afterwards. And then, because when I was doing my research, it mentioned it could be a fungicide, I do have some of the organic copper fungicide from Captain Jack's. So I did spray the surrounding plants with it in the hopes that it controls the spread of this disease. But we'll go ahead now and we will take out the first cosmos. And honestly, I might just take out the second cosmos. I don't know. We'll see. Now, there are a lot of plants in each of these beds in the back border. So potentially if I take it out, maybe I can just restake some things and it will still look full. We shall see. I will say overcrowding can contribute to fungal diseases. However, even when I have one plant in a pot alone, I've still had a die of fungal issue. So I feel like no matter what I do, it's going to happen. So first, I do have some twine I need to cut, and then I'm gonna get this plant out. I know you can't really see it, which is the point, but there's a lot of twine holding up all of my garden right now because I didn't use large enough supports on some of these plants. Let's see, is that the only twine? Nope, another piece. Now, just so I don't disturb all of the plants around it, I am going to first cut the plant off about an inch or two above the base. That's easy to get out this big chunk, which again is going to go into a garbage bag. Let me see if there's white inside you. Yes, there is. And now that I have a better grasp, I'm gonna gently pull out the root ball, which I don't see any like major issues in the roots. I mean, they're definitely not overwatered, underwatered, just the plant itself is dying. And then, like I said, this is all going to go into this garbage bag, which I will be taking out of the garden today once I'm done. Now I'm going to go wash these pruners with soap and water. I also use a little alcohol wipe. I just buy a box from Amazon, I think of like 100, and keep them underneath the sink. And I'm gonna do the same thing to my hands, wash them and rub the wipe over my hands so that I can come out and touch some of the other plants over here. Hands and tools are clean. I do try to make an effort not to rub my clothing on the diseased part as well if I can, just so it doesn't get on my shirt and then I spread it to the garden. But I mean, wind also spreads things and there's lots of wind up here. So I don't know, but I'm doing my best to not add any extra ways to spread disease throughout my garden. So let me take you up close. I'll show you the hole and then we'll figure out, well, I'm gonna restake some things, see how it looks, and then figure out if I need to put any new plants in there. This is what the bed looks like after the cosmos was removed. I think you can tell there is a giant hole right there. I'm gonna see if I can maybe adjust the dahlia and the zinnia potentially, because the zinnia will get taller. The dahlia is much larger than I expected, which makes me so happy. But let's also come in close. And then that is the spot where I removed the cosmos. So let's restake a little bit and then see if I need to add anything. I'm hoping I can be out of the way enough so you can see me making these adjustments. But first, there's just one stake on this dahlia. Yes, I'm gonna see if I take this out and then gently pull this dahlia up a little bit more. That definitely fills in some space. So I'm gonna stick this back down, being careful not to hit a tuber. So if I feel anything that's like resistance, like I did just there, I'm just gonna move it over a little bit to where I don't feel any resistance. Okay, that looks good. Let's get some twine. I have my piece of twine, so I'm going to hopefully gently lift this dahlia up a little bit. I'm even wondering if I should get something to prop under it. You know what? I have an idea. We are going to attempt terracotta pot upside down just to support these heavier branches over here, because these actually aren't supported by anything. So it could be good to have something there. I'm actually get another one to stack on top of that. All right, I think that's good in general, just to give that side some support. Now, I'm gonna bring the twine around and gently see if I can move this plant a bit more upright. All right, actually I think that's good. I don't want to push it too far. All right, I'm gonna keep that there for now, and I might add a second piece just so there's not only one piece of string holding it up. I really wish I had a taller support for these, but I don't think I have anything taller than what's currently in there. Now I'm also, just to again fill in that space a little bit, going to pull this Angelonia just a little bit to the left. If this bed was full and there were no holes, I would not mind having this bent over like it is, but I'm just doing this for the purpose of trying to make this bed look a little bit fuller. I'm also trying to avoid getting any other plants in it, but there is a stake over there holding the zinnias. Yeah, that fills it out a little more. While I'm over here, I'm also going to harvest this zinnia, which is in the bed. One, because it's ready to be harvested, and two, that way it'll start creating more branching. So this right here should start branching out this way, and it'll be a little bit fuller. Okay, so that's what the gap looks like right now. It is a little bit better than it was, but it's still enough of a gap that I do want to put something in there. So I do have some plants inside that I'll take out in just a second, but I'm going now over to the left side bed and seeing what I can do there about the gap. I feel like I'm gonna regret keeping the healthy stems of the cosmos, and yet I think I'm gonna do it anyway. I will keep a close eye on it, and as soon as I see any signs of the remaining branches starting to wilt, I will remove it. Again, probably should do that now, but what I'm gonna do for now is to use some twine, adjust the remaining branches and probably the dahlia as well, and see what it looks like. All right, that's better. And actually, well, because I didn't pull the whole cosmos, it doesn't look like there's any empty holes. So that's good. Now, since I was taking care of the center two, I'm just gonna see if there's anything I can either thin out here. Support-wise though, the cosmos looks good. Look how big this is. That's why I really don't wanna have to remove the center one. Let's see, you, dahlia, also look pretty well supported. So good job me on this one. All right, let's do some back border analysis. The left bed, I think still looks pretty full. We'll see how those branches do over the next couple days. I will obviously update you if I pull them. I do wish that yellow dahlia there, I do wish I'd put dinner plate dahlias there instead of what I think these are decorative dahlias, just because they're a little bit shorter. I'd rather have taller ones there, but that's their place for now. Center bed, still looking good, fingers crossed. And then I do feel like there is a hole in this furthest bed to the right. So let me show you what plants I picked up yesterday. So I went to Home Depot last night on a late night plant run, and I got two of the Graceful Grasses Prince Tut. These can get 18 to 30 inches tall, so I'm hoping they fill in that space nicely. And they are part sun to full sun, so that's good. I did get 3 of these just in case the center cosmos died. I'm only going to use one right now, maybe. Now, honestly, this would not have been first on my list to get, but this was the tallest plant they had available. I'm sure if I'd gone to a local garden center, there'd be a little bit more. Let's see how that looks. Step back a little bit. Getting a different angle. I mean, it is much shorter and not as full as the cosmos was, but I think it works. You know what? Let me try 2. That definitely does look more full with 2 of them. Let me go through my ideas of what I think I'm gonna do, and we'll see how it works. Now, if I plant the king tut into that bed, obviously it'll be lower than where I was just looking at it situated there because it was in its container. So what I'm going to do is I found my tallest, but still relatively thin container. I'm gonna put the fuller king tut in there. And I'm gonna see, because that'll give me, it'll give me at least 3 extra inches of height. And then that way, if other things do start to fill in and I wanna move this somewhere else, I can. But I think that's what I'm gonna do. The only thing with having it in a container is that I will have to remember to water it. The beds are hooked up on irrigation, but the irrigation only goes to the things that are planted in the potting mix in the raised bed. Let's go ahead and we'll see how this looks. Hopefully I like it. I don't think I mind it. I think that looks better than with the hole there. You know what, for now, because I can't fit 2 of those grasses in a pot, so for now, we are just going to take this other one. Yeah, I like that. I wish the giant cosmos was still there, but this makes me less sad than staring at an empty hole. Also, since it's in containers, if I do find something else that I like better, I can pop that in there and just move those containers somewhere else. All right, well, that's where I'm gonna end this project today. I am sad about that cosmos. Let me know if you know what the issue is for certain, and if I really should just pull the second cosmos, although I really don't want to. But the grass, at least, I think is a good placeholder for now. What I really wanna find is something, again, tall and narrow, but I have seen some pastel hibiscus bushes that are, again, more like V-shaped, and I thought that would look perfect in there. So if I go to a garden center and find something better, I will probably actually plant it in that bed to fill in the spots. And again, I'll get some extras in case the other ones die. But that's it for now. That's how I go about trying to identify a plant issue. It's much harder when I can't really see immediately a cause like that. I just know that the plant is slowly dying. But I always make sure that I check before watering, because again, you'll run out, you'll think my plant is drooping because it needs water. You'll keep watering and keep watering, and then you just cause root rot in your plant. So do check the soil first, then look for any pests, and then just start to Google the symptoms that you're seeing and what results come up. Anyway, this is my border for now. I will see you in the next video. Bye.